What up YouTube? TheDungeonMattster back with another video. So guys, this week we're gonna work on a dragon's lair for our dragon using some 2x2 project panels of XPS foam that I got from Home Depot. Stick around, after the credits, we'll get right into it. You guys may notice that I'm using my gaming surface for this, and while it doesn't look the prettiest, I am going to cover it up so that I don't get any paint in my recessed gaming area. So I've got this roll of painter's paper that I'm going to use from a do-it-yourself project that I had last year, and I'm just going to use it to mask off my table before I begin. So my plan with this is, now that I've got it all masked, is to take advantage of the fact that spray paint, I'd say 90% of the time, melts XPS foam. So my plan here is to spray very thickly a swath down 1/3 of this to create kind of like a ditch, a gully, kind of melt it up. Now, I could do this with acetone or nail polish remover, so anything's got acetone in it. Spray paint usually has acetone in it. I'm counting on this Army Painter Red to be a good base to go under there because of the theme with lava and Red Dragon and all that. We're gonna try it and see what happens. These project panels aren't that expensive, so if I screw it up, I can scrap it and use it for other projects. What I wanna do is define the area that I'm gonna spray. So I'm gonna take a stylus. Actually, I'm gonna do this easier. I'm gonna take the back of a paintbrush. Just the back of a paintbrush, and I'm gonna kind of just paint a wavy line about 4 inches wide, or two wavy lines, 4 inches apart, and spray in there to kind of give me a border so I don't go out. And we'll see what happens. So we've run into a small problem already. It's eating the foam. What you can see here, it's kind of pockmarking it instead of eroding it away like I had wanted to. So we're gonna have to dig out some big guns here. I think we're gonna have to get some acetone to do this, because this isn't gonna work with the red paint. For some reason, it's melting the foam, it's distorting the foam, but it's not doing enough of what I had hoped it would do. So we're gonna have to try something else. So I ended up using some of this stuff, the old top coat recommended by Black Magic Craft. I haven't used it in a while, and I figured I remember this stuff melting foam, and sure as hell, it's doing a great job. It's eroding through it like alien acid through the hull of a ship. I love it. So we're gonna let this do its thing. I might come back and do another coat, and we're trying to melt this thing up as best we can. If I have to use some heat, I'll use some heat, but I think we should be good. Now you guys can see this really cool texture that I got from doing that. And hitting it with the blow dryer caused some bubbles to form, and that I'm definitely going to use that to my advantage. That is definitely a fortuitous happening. Something I didn't intend to happen, but kind of knew was going to happen. Don't worry about those lines that I drew, we'll cover those up. This is starting to look good already. I already like how that's coming out. I tried making a secondary kind of puddle of lava over here, but that didn't quite work out. So I'm gonna try a different technique so I can show you guys something else that I use to melt the foam. Now I wanted to show you guys another technique for melting foam. This one is a lot more dangerous and really should be done outdoors, but I'm melting such a small portion of it. I'm not really gonna worry about the fumes. Do not breathe the black smoke. Black smoke is poisonous when this stuff is combusted. It's poisonous. The white smoke is harmless. But I have here a pocket torch, and I got it on its lowest setting, and I'm gonna just... It's catching the poly on the surface on fire. Okay, and now I'm going to spray paint this section red again. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but with black around the outer edges here, and I'm hoping that the black gives it texture. I actually want the black to melt the foam. And seeing what I saw of the red Army Painter paint, I know now that the Army Painter paint will melt the foam severely like the polyurethane did. So now I trust this to go in and do some kind of some spray painting around the outside of this, knowing that it's only going to hurt the surface of the foam just a little. So that worked out pretty great. The black ended up adding some texture, some really nice texture to the top of it. Not too aggressive, very subtle texture to the top of the foam. One thing I forgot to do though, I forgot to add 3D stuff. Oh no, there's a whole bunch of empty space here. What are we gonna do? All right, we're gonna cut up some more foam, and we're gonna make some rock formations and stalagmites, and then we're gonna come in and do some more detail. So what I'm going to do here now is take some pieces of scrap foam, preferably full thickness, so that I have a decent amount of material to work with. And I'm going to cut this stuff up into bits. I'm trying to remember all along that my dragon needs quite a big space to move along on the surface. I got a nice little piece here I'm going to set aside. I don't want my stalagmites to be too much higher than my players, so I'll cut a good piece, like, 1.5 inches tall, like 1.25 inches, 2 1-inch sections. That should be enough for those. Then I've got a slightly larger piece here, cut in half. I'll glue that together, cut that up into a pleasing shape. In fact, I'm going to put a peak on it. Something to aim for, another little piece. Stuff like that. And then we're going to, cut it up into rocks using our Proxxon. So I'm going to get these glued together using some hot glue and get over to the Proxxon and start cutting them up. Now we're going to use our Proxxon in a freehand state to get these shaped up like rocks. So what I've got, my Proxxon set to about halfway on the temperature for now, and then we're going to adjust as needed to see what we need to do here. I'm just going to run these through at kind of an angle. Well, you'll see what I'm going to do, and I'm going to try to make them as jagged as I can to make them look like rocks. You see here what we have. We have a kind of a rock pillar, which I really like the texture of. So we're gonna leave this out and carve up some more of these. I got a couple more little ones here. We'll get those busted out and we'll start attaching them to our terrain board. Alright, so now we need to texture our little stalactites, or mites, which are the ones that grow from the ground. So I'm going to use some all-purpose sheetrock joint compound. And I'm just going to use my finger, and I'm just going to smear it all over the front of these. The sides, the tops, whatever, just to give it a little texture. And to fill in any gaps that might be present in between the two layers of foam. what I've got here, I've got some yard dirt, or yard rock, yard gravel, and I've got my glue mix, my basing glue, and I'm going to go into the areas in between these stalagmites and fill in some natural rock texture on them before going in and coloring everything. I've got a new plan for this now that I'm looking at it a day or two later. I've also got this kind of craft sand that I got from the dollar store that I'm going to add to some of these piles. Well, like most things I do, I kind of overdid it a little bit. It looks okay, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. And I even missed a spot there. So, see, I just added a little bit more texture to where the glue was settling. That stuff will settle down, like right there. I just used way too much. Oh well, it'll work out. So what I'm doing here is I've just got some air dry clay, some good old Das clay, and I'm pulling off some, this is not a word that I'm about to use, YouTube. It's a nubule of clay. Copyright DungeonMattster 2019. Nobody cares. All right, and I'm gonna roll out the ball like this. That's a ball. I don't really want a ball. I want an egg. So I'm kind of rolling it a little oblong and shaping it with my hands. Kind of get the rough shape of the egg. It's still a little too big. I'm going for a certain size. They don't all have to be perfect. Obviously, nothing I do is perfect. As I say, that should be my trademark. But I'm just shaping it using just a little bit of pressure with my fingers to get that pointy egg top, round egg bottom, and then take just a little bit of water on my finger and rub it over the surface to smooth it, rid of any cracks, blemishes. And I'm gonna knock out a bunch of those, and then I'll go in, take my little sculpting tool, and I'm gonna draw some zigzaggy patterns on it. And dip it in water if it gives me trouble. And I'm just gonna go around a little zigzaggy egg pattern on there, and I'll smooth that all out with my finger and some water. And I wanted to try to go for a scaly egg look, so I'm going to carry the line down another section here. It's kind of digging into the clay a little much, but I'll take care of that after with some water, and I'll smooth that out with my finger. But I'm just gonna keep doing this and knocking out eggs. I want like 20, 25 eggs. I might not get that many, but we'll see. So I put these in the oven at a very low temperature, the lowest well, it's off now. The lowest temperature my oven could go. And I left them in there for about an hour, and I actually kind of forgot about them. And since this is air dry clay, it's supposed to dry, you know, over the course of 36, 48 hours. That's what the package says. But these are solid. These are ready for me to work with. You'll notice none of them have the stripes on it that I was putting on it because I ended up not liking it. So I ended up taking them off and changing my mind halfway through, like everything I do. So these are all set. These are ready for me to decorate how I'm going to decorate them. The next for me to do is to just decide how I'm going to do that. So we're going to go downstairs into the basement, back into the workshop, and see what's going on. So as you saw from that last shot, I went in, I coated everything with Mod Podge and black paint because I'd just gotten sick of the glue mixture not working on this. I guess it was just my fault that the glue mixture wasn't thick enough to hold these stones in place. But now that I've got the Mod Podge on here, it's holding them just fine. But that means I have to go back and do some of my red, I have to do some more of my black. But it's turning out just fine. I'm just gonna cover up some of my mistakes with some paint. So I forgot to hit the record button. I repainted, spray painted. I did a lot of, I covered everything in black first, except for the center of the river. There was no need to. Repainted that red and tried to feather the edge the best I could. And then I pulled way back, probably like 2 feet, and dusted the whole area with red. So you can see a red tint to the black, but it's just subtle enough that you can still see that it's black, which I really love. So some of these rocks are probably going to get some touching up, maybe with a little bit of gray on the backside or something, but I think this is almost pretty much done. I'm going to come in with some more colors with my airbrush here and do some more blending in here. But other than that, this is pretty much all set. Looking pretty nice. And I got some red on the edges of the rocks here intentionally to kind of give it a little bit of that glow from the lava pool beneath. And man, that came out really cool. I like that effect. So I'm gonna try to keep that replicated throughout the piece. If I put anything else on here, try to keep the glow from these light sources apparent. So the last thing, or one of the last things I need to do while my lava is drying is set up my nest. So for that I've got my red dragon miniature, and I'm gonna kind of set her in this corner where I would have her probably start the encounter. And I'm going to position the eggs kind of around her, you know, where she'd be protecting them. And I'm going to secure them to the board using some Gorilla Glue. This is the equivalent of E6000. It's just clear Gorilla Glue. And I'm going to take it and glue each individual egg around here until I get a pattern that I like. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. This came out great, this whole thing. The dragon, the way he looks on the base, with what I've got going on the table, all the little eggs, these little pillars with the object source lighting on them. I just couldn't be happier with the overall turnout of this. So we're gonna be moving on next week, doing some smaller stuff. I'm gonna get back into some general crafting for a little while, I think, and just kind of go back to making some of the little things that I started the channel with, those types of things. We're gonna go back a little bit. So if you like what you've seen here, head on over to Patreon, where I've got a decent setup going on over there. You pay what you want every month, and you help support the channel. And you get access to basically the tiny and yet growing community of people. It's only about 10 people right now, but it's growing. I do one day hope to make this kind of more of a full-time thing, so hopefully I can get more support over there. Also, don't forget to hit the like button below and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Hit that notification bell icon so you know that when I post new stuff. I've been your Dungeon Mattster, and I think I've got a dragon to kill. Peace.